Mr. Excitement.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's up with Insights. We're the ones televise your game. Do you see it? Oh, you know, huh?
I watch it.
Okay, you watch it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to follow you up there.
Yes, sir.
What made you decide to go to Columbia?
You know, great coaching staff. You know, they got Muschamp there, his second year coming in. You know, he's great. Program rise. He bring in best athletes. And I appreciated the fact that they came to me as a family instead of, let's play football. So I really appreciate that.
They want you at corner?
Yes, corner. I learned corner, play a little nickel, play a little safety, gain some weight. So, you know, they put me somewhere.
What are you, about 6 foot, 5'11"?
I'm about 5'11".
Okay.
I wish 6 foot. I wish.
But that's all right. You're going to put some weight on. You're going to go up there and try and contribute. What you majored in?
Electrical engineering. Electronics engineering.
Okay.
Pretty good degree. Y'all always have a job. Always.
Always?
Yeah.
You good in math?
Yes, I'm great in math. Favorite subject.
That's your favorite subject?
Favorite subject.
Yeah, because that's the one they're going to push. Now, you get out of there. Now, the thing I tell people all the time, because I did academic advising well when I was at FAMU, the more difficult the major is, the more money you'll make.
The more money.
If it's easy, then everybody do it. A lot of people
like psychology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Easy. But if you do well in it, if your pro career doesn't pan out, you'll be a professional engineer.
Just easy.
You could live at a real good lifestyle and do the things that you want to do. We wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Did I give you one?
You gave me. I got one.
Okay, I'm Coach Clayton, and I'm the owner CEO of this.
I got you.
I wish you good luck, man. Follow us so that you can keep up what's going on with your school back home. All your homeboys and stuff, you'll know how they doing.
Yes,
and we can follow you and see how you do. Thank you. Okay, good luck.
We have Mr. Earl Hankerson, former athletic director at Rickards High School and a highly successful football coach in his own right. Tell us a little bit about the skills of Tayvn.
Tavyn Jackson, man, Tavyn Jackson, what else can I say about him? A really great young man in the classroom, on the field, off the field, particularly if you're asking about his skills on the field. Great cornerback as he played here at Rickards High School. He really could lock down one side of the field, and which allowed, obviously, our defense to focus on other areas, but he would be able to take, typically in our game plan, the best receiver that the opponent could offer and really just take him out of the game and allow that front four and that front seven to really do their job. And we were really, really successful that year, going to the third round of the playoffs, one game away from state. As he was a member of our coaching staff as a player. He was that adept as to what was going on, really cerebral about the game. He knew what the defensive line was supposed to do, the coverages for the linebackers as well as his other mates in the secondary.
We've been really fortunate to get a Rickards legend today, Tavyn Jackson. I know y'all have not heard that name in a while. He's just been being a student, but he was everything at Rickards, academically and athletically. Tell us and tell your fans and the people who know and love you want to know what's going on. Tell us what happened to you after you left Rickards.
So after I left Rickards, I went to South Carolina, pursued a degree in engineering, electrical, and playing ball, of course, going through those struggles, and just, being a college student. And I was in a position where I was supposed to be starting at corner when I first got there, doing great. The people Muschamp calling him, like, yeah, he's going crazy, and tore my hamstring right before the season opener against NC State. So scratched that, ended up sitting out that whole year following summer.
Hey, you tore it pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it was like a grade 2 tear. So yeah, I was kind of out of it at that point, and then I ended up sitting out the spring as well, just to make sure that everything was clear. So summer come around, sophomore year, great summer, in great shape.
So the first year ended up being a redshirt year for you. Okay.
Yeah. And then that following year, summer workouts ended, July hit, maybe got a week off from July to go home for a little bit before camp started in August. Camp hit, moved to safety. I went from when I first got it, I was 173. And then by that time, that next summer, I was 192. So I had gained crazy weight, still kept my speed, and ended up moving to safety, practicing with my champ, and had a rough first day. Next day, I told him, like, hey, you know, I don't feel right, something going on, I don't know, like, what's up. And then the next day, that following practice, I ended up getting disqualified and going to the doctor. So from there, went to the hospital, stayed there 4 days, got the lumbar puncture, seen a hematologist, I got a spinal tap, I think, like it was a whole medical issue.
Now, you hadn't worked out now in how long? In months now? Maybe?
Yeah, I hadn't. It maybe had been.
You kind of doing your individual workout, but you hadn't been doing the team.
I hadn't been doing anything, and came back to told me, set me down, and was like, hey, we don't feel comfortable with you playing, so they disqualified me. And
Wait a minute, I'm missing something. They told you they weren't comfortable with you playing, but they didn't give you any reasons for
they
that.
said, the second day of camp, I ended up not passing out, but kind of my body went limp, and I couldn't like move my lower extremities. I couldn't move. I didn't have the strength to. So went to the doctor, and they said, you know, hey, everything looks fine. Like literally all my tests at South Carolina was perfectly fine. They said I'm the healthiest human being they've seen in the last 2 months. But University of South Carolina said, since we don't know why this happened, we're not going to put you back on the field. And so that's when they was like, hey, we need you to sign these disqualification papers. And being disqualified, you know, you ain't got no say-so over that. You got to sign that. There ain't no choice. So then
because if you disqualified, they can use your scholarship for another
somebody
athlete.
else, right? So I was past that. They disqualified me. I was like, whatever. So to my knowledge, once you get disqualified, you don't get the chance to go to another school. Like I thought the disqualification works for the NCAA, but apparently it's just for that school. And the reason I found it out was me digging. So our compliance, his name Jeff Whitehead, an amazing guy. He told me that he was like, yeah. He's like, you know, you could transfer and go to another school. And I was like, nah, like, they ain't tell me that, like, this and that. So this whole time I'm thinking I'm done. Like, I'm just going to school, you feel me? And then afterwards, he was like, nah, you go this and that. So I started digging into stuff, talking to people. So maybe that fall of my sophomore year and in that spring of my sophomore year, I was trying to find ways to get back. I was trying to find ways to put my name in the transfer portal.
Because you wanted to play again.
Right.
Okay.
So that process was a year-long process.
To get in the transfer portal?
To just get in the transfer portal.
Now, during this time, were you working out again?
I was still working out. I was still in school up there. And then...
how were your grades?
Perfect. I was fine. Like, academically, I was A-okay. But as far as, like, physical, like...
But you were a good student here, so that's not a surprise.
I wasn't stressing. It was a regular routine.
Okay.
So I found I could put my name in the portal, and I did. So that right before May hit, I planned on just trying to go to a team doctor to get back on the field. My name in the portal, but I had talked to our AD, Ray Tanner, and he told me basically that if I didn't find a school by that next semester, that fall semester of 2019, that they wouldn't take my scholarship, that I could still like go to school here, which I respected a lot. He was like, give me your situation, like this is not your fault, but I respect it. So I like, cool. But then it's set up as once May hit, I plan to go, I plan to stay for that following, like that summer there in South Carolina instead of coming home. And they told me that since I wasn't able to enroll in classes, like being that, I don't know what they're giving, South Carolina told me they weren't paying for my classes. If they weren't paying for my classes,
Wait a minute, didn't the AD just tell you that you were gonna keep the scholarship
during the summer? So we got a mandatory thing where during the summer we take at least one class, right, 1 or 2 classes. But they said they weren't going to pay for mine. I don't know the reason. I didn't feel like arguing with them because that was out of my jurisdiction. So they said they weren't going to pay for it, which is okay. But being that they weren't paying for classes, which means I wasn't enrolled in school that semester, which means I wasn't getting cost of attendance, which means I wasn't getting paid. I was just up there. Like, money was coming from my actual, like, parent. My mom had to send money here and there. And I wasn't finna stay up there and do that. So what I ended up doing, and I just left, and I came home, and then I got a job, and I was like, I figured out here.
So this was last summer you came back home. You were back in Tallahassee.
It was May 10th of last year. So I came home, got a job, seen a doctor, and the process with that, I was seeing doctors from May to October, and then I found his name, Dr. Bernardi at TMH Southwood. Talked to him. He referred me to a hematologist, which I literally went to on my birthday, on the 23rd, and she referred me back to him in my appointment today, and then he said, hey, I'm a medically cleared. So, here I am.
Now, what does that mean if he medically cleared you?
What it means is...
I see that big smile on your face.
So what it means is I'm off limits. I'm not off limits. Like, I'm clear. My medical history is wiped. He said everything looks fine to him, so he'll attest for me if somebody says, hey, we don't feel comfortable with him playing. Now my given situation now is, hey, this player, yeah, y'all might have seen something at South Carolina, but we ain't found nothing, so I'm going to allow him to play. So, and that's what, like, most of the coaches I talked to during this process, that's literally what they wanted, like a doctor saying, hey, he looks fine to me, because, I mean, essentially you're a university. You don't want to bring a player in and something happens, so you want to get somebody else to kind of attest for it before you do. So,
well, congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Now, what's the next step?
Schools, getting back in contact with some schools. I've been talking to a couple of schools that kind of been waiting for me to make this move, and some of them that I have talked to, they haven't really given me any insight as far as whether they take me or not, because they've been waiting for information. But I got a couple of schools lined up as far as some Power 5, some lower conference, so I'm just, weigh my options. It's recruiting back all over again.
Tell me a little bit about the junior college you were supposed to go to.
So I was supposed to go to Highland Community College in Kansas, and I ended up not going because the athletic trainer and the AD said they didn't feel comfortable with me coming. So
the athletic director at the community college.
At the community college, yeah, they said they didn't feel that I didn't have enough medical. How can I put it? I didn't have any clearance to play as far as their community college, so they didn't want to bring me in for a physical, and then it'd be like, oh, hey, we can't let this guy play because nobody else has said, okay, he okay to go,
So they wouldn't even bring you in for a physical?
Nothing.
So what is it you diagnosed as having? Because something I saw about sickle cell.
I got a sickle cell trait.
Wait a minute, stop. Mm-hmm. The trait and sickle cell are two different things.
Right. So I got the genetic trait, not the anemia, which is...
It's two different things.
Yeah. And typically, the trait doesn't have any symptoms unless given circumstances where he's kind of elevated, high intense workouts or stuff like that. So other than that.
With me, I have the waves of Tallahassee access we have. And I would like, Doc, with yourself dealing with athletes, having been a former athlete and the father of athletes, what is the difference in between in an athlete that has the trait, the athlete that has the condition?
So, being a former student athlete with the trait, I displayed none of the symptoms of an individual with the sickle cell condition. I had no sickling of my red blood cells. I had no necrosis. I had no pain associated with the disease. And there's several other symptoms that are associated with the sickle cell disease. I had none of those. And someone with the trait, from my understanding, myself, my daughter, we don't have any of the symptoms associated with the disease. If an individual have the disease, then they're going to display the symptoms. And like I said, there are a number of symptoms, and some conditions, some individuals have more symptoms than others, and there are certain environmental conditions that help manifest these things. Things meaning symptoms. So someone with the disease, you're going to know it because they're going to have the symptoms. Someone with the trait, you'll never know unless you had blood work done. So that's the main difference in someone with the trait versus someone with the disease. It's the symptoms.
So what happened was you fell out when you came back to work out. It sounds like, I'm not putting words, it sounds like they probably got a little scared in terms of what was happening with you, some things going on, some other colleges, that they were a little fearful that something might happen to you.
Yeah, that's a guarantee. That's exactly what it was. I think they felt that I was more so a liability, which I was essentially. And they just kind of said, hey, we rather not put you back on the field because if something happened, then now it's on us because we allowed it to. So they took the necessary precaution, and I respect it. Now I might not agree to it, but I do respect it because I mean you got a whole university behind you. You feel me? So
it's hard to beat it if you're going against the institution. A single black man, that's a rough battle there.
Yeah, it was. I didn't fight it. I didn't downplay it. I didn't say nothing against what they had going on. I didn't badmouth them, and I would never, because they took care of me. They did what they were supposed to do in their best of interest. But it's at the end of the day, if we being honest, it's business.
What's your GPA now?
The head athletic trainer at Godby High, 7 years on the university level. I just wanted my quote I wanted to get from you was just to get some information just in terms of the difference between a trait and the condition.
Okay, the condition is a full-blown sickle cell, and that is very tough for any person to really participate in sports. The trait, it just means that they lack some of the irons are eliminated in their system, and it is not as severe as the full-blown condition. Therefore, the trait is allowed to play sports. However, that kid has to be monitored. The doctor to that kid may decide that the athlete, depending on how the athlete is, because there's certain time of probably the season, maybe like this time when it is so cold, okay, it affects them a lot. They just tend to have a lot of aching pain depending on how severe it is, even with the trait. So they may be recommended to be on some type of iron to help them. It's like an iron supplement. So, yeah, they can be on that depending on what the doctor finds in the blood work. Okay? So I'm guessing you're trying to find out, can the kids play sports? Yes. The kids can play sports,
Okay, and that from Akima of Rakata?
Yes.
Head athletic trainer at Godby High School.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barakata.
You're quite welcome.
See, I still got you. I got you. Thanks, baby.
Thank you. All right, then. Take care.
What's your GPA now?
3.6.
Oh, I see you really struggling with academics. What's your major, engineering?
Electrical engineering.
Okay. And your plan is to be able to finish up
Finish that. That's my mama won't let me go nowhere until I finish that. So that's academics are always key. That's my biggest thing. That's always been my biggest thing. If I ain't got that, then I ain't got nothing.
What would you say to some of the student athletes that are coming behind you that you haven't gone through what this doing? I'm looking at the confidence you exude and knowing that you've been tested. You've gone through some things and that this actually could be one heck of a success story for you to get through. I mean, if you never play football again, for you to be able to get your engineering degree is going to be a success story, even more important than that. But what advice would you give to some of the Rickards students or students in the area or potential college athletes anywhere?
I would say, I'm going to tell you this. A man told me, one of my biggest support people in my life, told me, you will never play football again. which I at the time, I was emotional about it, because, you know, like, come on, like, that's what I've been doing. I'm good at it, you feel me? So, but I would say to that now, it don't matter what they think. It don't matter what situations that put you in a situation you've been put in. It's up to you. And I think that took me, like, me moving home, me going back to my mama's house, me, like, getting a job. That was humbling. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't used to that. I'm used to waking up, going to work out at 6 o'clock, playing on Saturday, having thousands of fans. Like, people knowing me just off of face, and I ain't even did nothing yet. Now I come home, and it's like, hey, why you here? You know, why you, I thought you was this and that. And I feel like here in Tallahassee, that's stereotypical. That's all the good athletes, they come home and then they go somewhere else. Or they come home and just get a job. And not saying that's a bad thing, but that's not me. Mm-hmm. That's not what I feel like. That's not my story. So as far as any upcoming athletes, regular, like just students, period, if you feel like you could do it, then go for it. Because ain't nobody's going to see it how you're going to see it. Can't nobody tell it, because you, and you feel me? Like, that's just what it's going to be. So I would say go for it always. It's what you make it at this point.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, straight from, what's your number?
24, man.
24, another 24. This one's still kicking. Tavyn Jackson. We'll keep our eye on you. Know where you are so we can come see you play.
Thank you.
From Insights. Visit our website at INSiiGHTS.com. 2 I's in the middle, INSiiGHTS.
Insights is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. Comments of the host and other individual speakers on Insights represent their independent thoughts and representation.